空の青さが眩しかったあの頃、歌声は天まで届くと信じていた。
While Macross Plus might not be the most famous series and movie from the Macross universe, it's one of the best, and also one of the most friendly to those who are new to the franchise. The animation and music here are absolutely amazing and among the series' best. The reason for this is that Macross Plus came out at the peak of traditional animation, with only a few scenes being digital. This hand-drawn style has aged a lot better than the early attempts at computer animation, and therefore looks a lot better than, say, Macross Frontier, despite the latter coming out in 2007, while Macross Plus was released in 1994, with the movie coming out a year later. The music is made by none other than Yoko Kanno, who composed the music for the Vision of Escaflowne, Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, among others. Like with other series in the Macross franchise, Plus focuses on fighter aircraft that can also turn into robots, a love triangle, and great music, this time performed by a virtual idol. But rather than covering some huge galactic battle, Macross Plus instead focuses on two rival teams working on their proposal for the next Valkyrie fighter jet to take over after the VF-11 Thunderbolt variable fighter. This setting is based on the real-life competition between the YF-22 and the YF-23. The competition between the YF-19 and YF-21, along with the arrival of Sharon Apple, the virtual idol, sets the stage for the story. This description only skims the surface, however, as Macross Plus is a lot deeper than this. The original series only spans 4 episodes, which are summarized in a movie that has some elements cut, while also adding in 20 minutes of extra animation. This makes the two differ a bit, but they both end up in the same place. The Blu-ray edition of this movie is absolutely gorgeous and definitely worth hunting down if you're a fan. Since it's only 4 episodes or a 115-minute movie, this is a great starting point for people new to Macross, since it's not a huge time commitment, and both the series and movie hold up great. The story takes place on Eden, which is a planet that humanity colonized after the events of the original Macross series. The 3 main characters are all childhood friends, but were pushed apart by some traumatic event in the past and haven't seen each other for 7 years. In the meantime, Isamu Alvadison and Guld Goa Bowman, both obsessed with flying since they were young, have become military pilots and ended up as test pilots for rival projects, the YF-19 and YF-21. Former high school idol Myung-Fang Long, who wanted to be a singer, also shows up, but instead of her living out her dream as a performer, she is instead the producer of Sharon Apple, a virtual idol. If you don't want any more mild spoilers, I suggest you stop watching the video here and come back to it later on. But if you don't mind or have already seen Macross Plus, then go ahead. Nothing I mention here will ruin the movie, unless you want to go in completely fresh. The 3 main characters have a bond that is alluded to throughout the story, and their reactions to meeting each other again show that something clearly went wrong in the past. Despite being best friends, Isamu and Guld somehow dislike each other now, with their friendship instead having turned into a bitter rivalry. This relationship between the 3 is part of what makes Macross Plus so interesting. You can feel that there are layers here, and that everything isn't what it seems. This is especially true for Guld, who represses some of his memories of the past, leading him to think that something completely different had happened. The gradual peeling away of the onion makes Macross Plus feel special, as it allows you to notice more and more in subsequent viewings. Isamu, for example, is introduced as a reckless pilot, but is gradually shown to be the one who is most true to himself. He's also more aware than the others of what's going on. He doesn't try to force his opinion upon the others though, but he's not afraid to let others know how he feels either. He's certainly not perfect though, and causes a lot of trouble before the credits roll. Guld is seemingly stoic, appearing as the more calm and collected of the 2 pilots. The reality is quite different though, as this is only what he appears to be on the surface. Deep down, Guld is deeply passionate, and this shows up in both his care for Myung and also in the times when he's close to Isamu. He also has trouble controlling his emotions when he's pushed, which is the exact opposite of the way he appears when we first meet him. Myung is the 3rd of the main character and is of critical importance to the story. She grew up wanting to become a singer, but couldn't handle the pressure and ended up being a producer instead. Although she tries to seem content with her life and proud of her accomplishments. She is instead wounded from giving up on her dreams. This plays a part in how she feels when she is reunited with Isamu and Gold, as both of them are living out the dream of becoming a pilot. Another character of importance is Lucy Macmillan. She is a researcher working on the YF-19 project and is asked out by Isamu in the beginning of the story. This makes her entangled in the relationship between Isamu, Gold, and Myung. Lucy really brings out Isamu's true character, and the scenes they share allows the viewer to see a fun side of him. When I first saw Macross Plus, I always liked Lucy more than Myung, as she seems a lot more fun to be around. The main antagonist of the series is Sharon Apple. Sharon is interesting because she is not seemingly conscious, at least not at first. But being an incomplete artificial intelligence, she learns from Myung, who supplies her with emotions. When a biochip is inserted into her later on, she does gain independence and acts out how Myung really feels. Through Myung, she has observed and learned Myung's true feelings, and therefore starts to care for Gold and especially Isamu herself. Isamu feels the most alive when he's flying and pushing himself to his limit in the place between life and death. Sharon Apple has learned this through Myung and therefore takes him to that place in order to make him feel alive. She does this by pushing him by using various defense systems to attack him, thereby having him fight for his life. Gold and Isamu eventually make up and become friends again after Gold remembers what happened in the past, only for a remote-controlled unmanned fighter called Ghost X9 to separate them again. Whether this was intentional or not, the two friends are once again separated by a ghost from the past. One of the things that make this movie so interesting is that there are no truly bad people. Isamu, Gold, and Myung all care about each other. The rivalry exists based on their similarities, what they care for, and misunderstandings of what happened in the past. This helps the relationship feel real, as people who care for each other also have a greater emotional attachment, and therefore will feel more hurt if they are perceived to be betrayed in some manner. While there are no huge battles or planet-destroying events, the relationship between the characters make the story hit a lot closer to home. As a result, I've watched this movie over and over again over the years, and it's still a story that I enjoy rewatching. Some people have criticized Macross Plus's characters for not evolving, but I beg to differ. While they might not be diametrically opposed to the characters they were in the beginning, these characters change in a different way. When what happened in the past is revealed and the characters come to terms with that, it changes the way they seem to the audience. Isamu might seem reckless and silly at first, but he's true to himself and he sees the truth in others. Gold might seem stoic and collected at first, but it turns out that he has problems keeping his emotions in check because of his warped view of the past. Myung also changes because she realizes she has been living a lie, because she didn't dare to pursue her true passion and instead hid behind being a producer. In this sense, you might say that the message of Macross Plus is to remain true to yourself and not censor the real you. The only person that lives that mantra is Isamu, and he causes the others to see that in themselves as well. For more videos about Macross Plus, check out this playlist and subscribe to the channel for more videos related to Japanese culture.